Hey, I'm going to do a reading for you, and I'm literally going to be reading from the book today. This is The Doors of Somlipith, and I thought it would be cool to read from the book because uh, it's fun to learn the cards in different contexts in each different way. And I thoroughly enjoy this. This is a very unique deck. And so I figured it'd be. This is cartomancy, by the way. Anna Cortez and her father created this deck, and I thought it would be fun to read from the book to honor their interpretations of things. So today's reading, we have quite a interesting little story we got going on. I'm going to look at all these cards, read from the book, and then I'm going to look at the chart that I have over here and see what I can gather from what it is that I have looked at through here. So we're going to start with the Queen of Spades. And pardon my fingernails. I tried to paint my nails and be girly, but I'm very not graceful with having nice looking hands, I guess. I just very destructive. But anyway, so don't look at my fingers. Just look at the card. Okay. So this represents a strong and independent queen, a woman who has learned to stand on her own, practical and detail oriented, patient, a known sorceress. Morgana must battle her tendencies to be manipulative, secretive, or in vain. Earth magic, the menopausal female, aging beauty, and celibacy. Now, she also wears the crown of Medusa, which sometimes means that there's an energy of persecution or suffering because Medusa was actually cursed like that and she endured many terrible sufferings because of her situation and it happened to her. So there's an energy of this kind of energy of something, like not being in victimhood, but something that, could make one be, you know, learning how to do something on her own. You know what I mean? An energy of hardship in some kind of way. And then it's followed again by the Five of Spades, and this one is called the Impotent King. It makes me think of the Three-Eyed Raven in Game of Thrones. And again, he has vines that are wrapping around him, so that's two symbolisms of being tied, bound, or something to do with dealing with something that's happening, or sometimes not dealing with something. Five of Swords is normally interpreted with communication difficulties. So the energy of this has a lot more to do with a lack of mobility. So sometimes it could literally mean, like, for example, someone in a wheelchair. The sensations of being bound to a chair in that kind of way. So here we have the Impotent King, and the key word to describe this is limitation. A king of small worlds, enchantment in the known, commitment despite limitation, immobility, actions that have no power or potency, opportunity as well as trepidation in career or life path, living situations, or housing. So immediately, the first card makes me think of Venus in the 6th house. And then this is the 10 and 4th axis. So changes between visual representation and home areas. Lessons in freedom and limitation, and how to successfully break out of situations that feel confining or outworn. Fear of the unknown. Well, according to this chart, Venus going through the South Node. If you are an Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, I would tell you Venus represents literally from the bottom jaw to the shoulder. She's going through the South Node in Virgo. Virgo is a health-related sign, so there's something to do with the voice, neck, jaw, shoulders that's coming through. So She's also ruled by Mercury, which is in the eighth house, which is considered one of the houses of the hidden, even though the sun is in conjunction with it. So I'm thinking it's more muscle related, but you can have, like, something I experienced on a tour this past December was vocal dysphonia. Sometimes Mercury rules the mind, and it can talk about the stress of the mind. It's in the eighth house of trauma next to Mars. It's in conjunction with it. So if you're going through a stressful event that you have to use your voice for, as there can be a loss of voice in some kind of way. I don't think it's permanent. I think it's just because it's in a health house, it's a stress related thing from others. The eighth house is definitely other people. The eighth house has many different significations. It can be, also work related. You could be having a change of work, or a woman from the past, you're working with them again, or just something to do with a woman. The sixth house can also be dating, so someone could be starting a relationship with somebody that was of past. When it comes to career, so we look to the 10th house, that is Capricorn, and we look for it for Saturn, and Saturn is in the 12th house. It's another hidden house. It's kind of like our subconscious. And one of the things I would ask you is, why are you doing what you're doing? Think about whatever it is that you want. You have this drive, you have this passion towards something, you have this craving, you want the collaboration, you want the communication, you want the validation at work, you want something, right? There's something to do with a want or a need sometimes that you feel comes from an outside source in. And so long-term goals, or something that you feel blocked in, stiffness. There could be like literally stiffness of the neck happening. A pain in the neck, frustration could be represented in having neck pains or sometimes headaches. It'd be more of a tension headache, not a true headache, but the muscles pulling on the back of the scalp really intensely, very hard. But Saturn can sometimes make us feel like things are more restrictive than they are, or we may have limitations in, traveling to foreign countries, because the 12th house can represent foreign countries. So can the ninth. The ninth just means somewhere far away. We make long distance travels, but the 12th normally rules over long distance travel to foreign countries. And because it's a Piscean energy, there could be a block for the countries that are represented by Pisces. Can sometimes be Philippines, Japan, water type countries, or like next to a coastline, because Pisces is water, oceans. Or somebody making a trip that we have wanted to make for a very long time to a foreign country. Be careful of self-sabotaging tendencies. If you have a tender immune system, you definitely want to take care of yourself, especially because Venus going through that south node in your 6th house, that looks like you need to probably boost your immune system. Or you could be like literally traveling to go sing somewhere that you've wanted to go, or you were there at one point in your life. Being able to work through a limitation that you feel could be holding you back. Sometimes it's self-sabotage. Sometimes it's hidden enemies. You could feel like something or someone or situations are standing in your way, but it's I know Saturn is known as the energy of the restrictions, the boundaries, the obstacles, but it's also the energy of the teacher, the wise one, the the test that like literally asks you why do you want what you want, and if I put you through the ringer, if I put you through these tests, do you love it enough that you're going to keep going towards it? Is it something that you like, literally Venus, is it something that you love, that you're passionate towards, that you're desperately trying to achieve? Like, you could be wanting, your life purpose could be represented in the 6th house. Could be nurses also. I don't, that makes me think of nurses. So then we have the 8 of Spades, the curse, and she is on fire. So what is represented in fire in a chart? Well, it's Aries. The chart is Aries rising, and Mars is in the 8th house, the energy and the place in which it has dignity normally. So this energy of the 8th house can sometimes be trauma, it can be money related, it can be passionate sexual union. I don't know why I was like trying to say that. It's Venus in the 6th house, could be dating, you know, the other part of fortune in the 5th house, which is like, you know, love, romance, joy, happiness, creativity, children, the energy of Leo, you know. You could be having a passionate romance coming in. That could be something also. And this one is of the 8th, so I'm going to go and read what our fire, what does the fire mean? Oh, Lord, there's a fire. Okay. So, I'm going to let you... Trying to get my angle right is so funny. Okay. All right. So, the curse. The key word is affliction. Whereas the 8 of Diamonds was considered very lucky in historical times, the 8 of Spades was seen as a very unlucky energy. And with this illustration, there is no escaping the dire message. Here we find a curse, long-standing, a smoke signal from an ancient fire of persecution. It is guilt, accusation, suppression, affliction, as it lodges into our soul through ancestral lineage or previous incarnations. Okay, so that would be the 4th house. That would be the 8th house to me immediately. A little bit of the 10th as well, because Saturn is in a house of one of the heaviest, like, dharma karma energies, a past life area. Now, where Jupiter sits is the house of the mother. So there could be something through the energy of the mother's lineage that is coming through, that is talking about. But we have 2 cards in a row that talk about walking away from something, changing something, undoing something. And then guilt and suppression kind of goes with that energy of the 12th and the 8th. You know, those are kind of trauma houses, you know. And then Venus being at the South Node literally could be somebody's mom, or something to do with the health of someone's mom. And the good news is it's happening for a reason. It's a doorway, which is in the 12 and the 6. The South Node is, you know, a door of the past, but it's technically an indoor. And the North Node is, you know, going towards something door. So exit, enter energy. So the nodes is what we're talking about. A chance to feel free and to free the past by facing our own greatest fears in the present. It's liberation disguised as a nightmare. I'll walk through the fire. Impasse. We are at an impasse. Closed doors, defenses, fortification, and personal boundaries, and Phoenix rising. That's got the 8th house written all over it. So if someone's going through something super spicy, super hard, I am sending you so much love and support. And even though whatever it is that you are experiencing that is like walking through your own version of hell, there's a point and a purpose to it. And, part of Saturn being in the 12th house could be showing you that self-sabotage sometimes shows up from being just too giving. Maybe you give way too much to other people. Money, specifically, if we look for the 6th house with Venus in there, she rules over love and money. She rules over many different things, but those are her two major significations. So, overgiving is one of the main energies of that. And the nodes in this chart are at 18 degrees. So that 18 is a very harsh degree anyways. It's kind of like when you got thrown over someone's knee and your ass spanked. It's kind of an energy of sometimes having to relearn something over and over and over again, especially if you have anything in your chart in 18 degrees retrograde. That means that sometimes your potential to have to revisit an experience until you learn the lesson might be higher than we would like it to be. Okay. So then we had, after all our suffering and learning how to be a strong, independent chicken, we have the 7 of Clubs, which is the sword of enchantment. The power of the mind and of words. Challenges within mental realms or invisible arenas. The influence of invisible forces, of which is beyond physical control. It is the magic of breath, meditation, and dreams. Synchronicities. The power of the imagination and hidden thoughts. The ability to destroy negative thoughts, knowledge, or information as it becomes a weapon for help or for harm. So that takes me back to Saturn in the 12th house. Saturn in the 12th house, we may feel like our imagination is experiencing blocks in whatever way, whether it is to think positive, whether it is to meditate. You have Mercury and Mars together with the sun in a trauma house, anxiety to the T, adrenaline, PTSD kind of energy, not quite skittishness, but there's the energy of just fidgety, nervous energy, especially because, Virgo is the 6th house, which means the immune system, and sometimes we could just be bouncy knee, movie fidgety, whatever, and I would say be careful of lifting anything too heavy in a non-grounded center strength area, because once you have a nice little box of strength, and then once you get out of your strength, you have potential to pull a muscle, is what I'm looking at. But when I'm thinking about Saturn being in this house, the other day I posted a song about writer's block. It was inspired by the fact that I was that we were completely blocked in our ability to come up with a good lyrical something to write a song about. But we had a whole song, but we didn't have the lyrics, so we wrote it about writer's block. That kind of makes me think about that energy, Saturn in the 12th house, and like someone who wants to meditate. I'm too nervous, I'm too anxious, I don't know how to meditate, I get bored, I have to move around, my mind needs stimulation, and I'm having a hard time meditating. Or I feel like I want to be creative, but I'm suffering from a block. And I said in the post, let the block inspire you. What is the energy of the block? What is standing in your way? What do you feel is the friction? What do you feel is standing in your way? Let that energy be what inspires you. Don't let the block hinder you and force you to not do something. You just sometimes, the energy of it's okay. it's gonna come in one way or another, and sometimes it just literally Saturn equals time. You might just need a little bit of time. Even though it's frustrating. Frustrating. Very frustrating. Okay, so then we're going to go to the severed head energy. This is a very unique card with its story, and I'm actually going to read it with you because it comes here. So I may just botch it so hard. You're welcome. Okay. So the threes. The threes are highly significant, and an oracle number in our work with the doors of Somlipith. Its appearance with a spread signals mystical presence. These cards complete the first triplicity within ascending sequence. Just as the two were built upon the ace, the threes arise from the experience of the ace and the twos. Reflecting on our own lessons of these previous numbers, we gain insight into the magical three, for thus it is built, and we can never be otherwise. And it can never be otherwise, excuse me. The threes are the bringers of consequences, as they call forth manifestation, the good and the bad, and otherwise. They are the abracadabra, the say it and so it shall be, the forces that blind and finalize, the reconcilers. The three of diamonds and the severed head, the word means ambition. Fire is destructive. We had the curse, she's on fire, right? So we've already been destroyed, whatever it was. It consumes in order to live, and in turn blesses us with light, which we can procure from nowhere else. The nature of the Igna realm is unmerciful in its ravaging and ambitious, or it will cease to exist energy. The severed head speaks of the selfishness necessary within creative ability. Okay. Where was I even though? Okay. Unmerciful in its ravaging and ambition as it will cease to exist. The severed head speaks of selfishness necessary within creative ambition and the consequences. Consequences. Okay. Which can be most dire. So always with the three of diamonds, there's a dynamic opportunity at hand, along with fleeting window of time in which to take advantage of. The critical questions are, what am I willing to sacrifice in order to achieve my goal? And do I have the persistence and the tenacity to see it to completion? That is exactly what the energy of Saturn means for me. To understand this oracle, it is necessary to read the following story. So I'm going to two-hander. Okay. So long ago, there lived near Tropola in Tuscan twin brothers, so alike in their physical being that few could tell them apart except when they spoke. For one had the gift of the word and the other had an idiot's babble. Now, Eliot's skill with language and his grasp for reason and philosophy were all well beyond his years. So all who heard him speak considered him very wise. On the other hand, although an accomplished mime who could play with spoons and make wondrous noises, his brother Solute spoke imperfectly and with great difficulty, might express only the simplest thought. Mostly he babbled incoherently and therefore was considered an idiot. Yet the two brothers were inseparable, and one was never seen without the other. It came to pass that the king's daughter, Tendra, was enchanted by Eliot's lovely language, and fell in love with him. The king was also much impressed with Eliot, dubbing him Eliot the Wise. I might be saying his name wrong. Eliot, I don't know. However, unable to countenance Solute, who seemed a monastery at best, the king offered his daughter's hand only to Eliot, who would forever part company with his brother. This Elliot forthright refused to do so. Now Tendragu... I am just reading for people. Why do I do this to myself? Okay, anyway. He refused to do so. Now Tendra grew much distressed and determined she would finally separate the brothers by having Somlipith slain. That night, her manservant went secretly to Elliot's chamber, finding the room in the darkness with both brothers sleeping, one in a proper bed and the other one curled on the floor. He slew the brother sleeping on the floor, thinking him to be the idiot, Somlipith. When her servant returned with Somlipith's severed head, Tendra received it with shock and apprehension, and instinctively kissed its dead lips, for the visage looked strikingly like the brother she loved. Indeed, there was never any way of knowing whether Elut or Somlipith had been slain, for the surviving twin, from that time on, never spoke or uttered a sound. So, when we want something so bad, we can have a tendency to, without patience, without temperance, without all the information, hinder our own growth and our own potential in some type of way. Now, the next card is the Six of Clubs, which has the energy of the Bridge. Let me see, where are we? Looking for the six. All right, the Bridge. There we go. The Bridge, keyword equals journey. The way. The journey rather than the destination. Trust in the uncertain future. A past that is left behind. A memory. Bridging worlds. Connecting people or things together. The ability to rise above or overcome obstacles or heavy emotions. Means forgiveness. So, sometimes we can create our own limitations. We can create our own suffering from our lack of patience. And when we want something so bad that we're willing to rush something, to force something, we may get what we asked for, but not in the desired way in which we were hoping it would have worked out. And we are the Three of Wands or the Three of Clubs. The key word is choice. The wand is a power we all possess within ourselves and a shining instrument of magic, but awaiting us to take hold. Okay. But in order to command the wand, we must come to an understanding the two sisters who control it. Remember, the wand is always working, calling forth from the innermost womb of the Earthra our secret wishes. Our conjurings are made with eyes open and eyes shut, where whisperings abide like restless vapors. Here dwell the sisters of the wands, and when vapors are overheard, they get intertwined with magic of the three, and it comes into being for all eyes to see. Be careful what you wish for. Things happen in threes. Difficulties or worry in making decisions. The need to make a choice. Decisions that make themselves. Though non-decision or inaction. Sometimes through non-decision and inaction. Reading is hard. The power of thought, conscious and unconscious, to create our reality. Now again, that goes back to Saturn in 12th. We're creating some stuff, and sometimes we're not aware of it because that is a house of our unawareness. And then we have our secret passions and things that we want, that we're seeking in the world. And so the energy of, Sometimes, like, for example, the part of fortune in Leo rules fame, right? If you're going to be an actor, a singer, a creator of some sort, a musician, an artist, whatever it is, creators, a lot of times that is tied to um, like main actors, somebody who stands on a stage most of the time. It can be authority figures who are very prominent in the news right now. And then we had at the very bottom was the Sword of Healing. So let me find my Sword of Healing. Seven of Hearts. The Sword of Healing, and the key word is healing. A challenge involving health or love. The power to heal or injure. Lessons in forgiveness. A surgeon's knife. Okay. Virgo, 100% a health area, a nurse, something to do. Venus also rules over our thyroid. She rules over our kidneys, our lady parts, and we did have the menopausal lady in the very beginning. So, restoration or rejuvenation, or conversely, obstacles to healing, depending on surrounding influences. True love, the wounds of love, or the healing power of love. Trials and tribulations of the heart. Now, menopausal energy, making some, you have like an energy of fertility isn't always just in the womb. It can be in many different ways. It can be within our creativity. It can be within forgiveness. It can be within sometimes picking up something that we walked away from a long time ago. Like, for example, I started writing a book in 2019, and then sometimes I can write in it and sometimes I can't, and it depends on how I'm feeling emotionally if I can write it, because I put a lot of emotion into this book, and sometimes it becomes too hard to recompose it from this. I hand wrote everything with pencil and trying to recompose it into a story, and honor the version of myself that wrote it, but also kind of change it and influence it with the me of now, that has the experiences that I have and the information that I have, and going back and reading it and be like, no, I think I'm gonna change that. That's no. But sometimes the power is in walking away. Sometimes it is bringing something back from the past. Definitely health, though. Definitely health related. I feel like there's an energy of, if you need to rest and not move quickly, that could be, the energy of this, stuckness. Sometimes being stuck isn't a bad thing. Sometimes, we are so used to having to run, to do, to be, to, all these different things, that we don't give ourselves a time to move. And then sometimes we are in a lack of movement, where we are not putting in effort. So this energy is kind of both ways. There could be multiple different facets to this energy. But to me, one of the things it looks like is that at the very beginning, we have experienced something that was, shitty. We've fought our way out of it. It could be a past situation that comes back that we have to deal with, or some kind of way. But it shows that we we've been on fire, we've been burning for this thing, and we're trying to work on forgiveness of the self, forgiveness of the situation, all the different things, people, and then being aware of why we're doing something. What are we asking for? Or what do we hope to gain from it? Trying to understand our draw towards something, someone, to a place, whatever it is. And then the bridges of the past to the new self. What did we learn along the way? What did we, what knowledge have we gained from this, and how do we connect the two, to what's happening then, to what's happening now? What is the theme? Is it simply that we've learned that we're being able to have a stronger belief in ourselves, in the situation, and have faith in things? And sometimes, like, remember, the mind can cause health issues. So I want you to think about what we think about, we bring about. If you're constantly thinking negative, especially about your body, if you're having negative experiences with your vessel, basically, however you think about the situation, it's true. It'll manifest in the way in which you hyperfixate on it. So it's like if this energy is telling you you're manifesting something, the energy, just be careful of what you're saying, what you're thinking, what you're believing, and how it's starting to manifest into your physical life in front of your eyes. So I hope that something I said was helpful. I have no idea. Thank you for suffering with me as I botchamania in my reading skills. I could edit them, but then it wouldn't be funny. Sometimes you just gotta laugh at yourself. So I hope that, like I said, I hope that was helpful for somebody. I hope that whatever random message that came through that resonated with you, if you've made it this far, I appreciate you. I'm sorry I don't post that often. I'm doing my thing. I wait for inspiration. I'm not big on doing all sign readings. I'm not big on following trends. I guess I could handicap myself in that way, but I feel like sometimes following the herd isn't always the smartest thing. So this energy here of Dracula, this can sometimes mean we're suffering from insomnia. So if you have been, for example, struggling from insomnia, or the Nine of Spades can also be transposed into the Nine of Swords. It is, this is an obsessive type of energy. We can be obsessing over something to the point where our mind never shuts up, but it can also be blood related. Something about, sometimes, like, this is a brutal card because he's, like, literally holding an organ in his hand. So, in the moon energy, I know that we're about to have a full moon in Aries. It's going to be, I think it's at 14 degrees, so that would mean it is in between Chiron and Ceres. Now, Chiron and Ceres, Chiron is a wound that we have experienced that we're working through. So this person, with the self. So with the self, we are experiencing body dysmorphia is what just came to my head. So I'm just going to say that out loud. You're not seeing yourself clearly, and you're probably being very hard on yourself. Be careful with experimenting with beauty products or thinking that consumerism in beauty will fix the problem, when sometimes the issue that we are dealing with is deeper than the skin. Series has a lot to do with sometimes mother figures, reaping rewards, taking something when it's time, sometimes suffering of separation of something in between those two, an energy of healing a situation, maybe concerning that. You may simply need to eat iron, or, I mean, if you're not a fan of red meat, you know, you need to increase maybe the iron. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying the energy that's coming to me, you know, dude's super pale, so could be sensitive to the sun, literally. But try not to overthink, try not to over catastrophize, try also to see situations, people, and things, opportunities very clearly. Make sure that whatever comes to you, whatever is offered to you, that it's something you really want to do. Don't take anything just because it's handed to you. Does it resonate? Does it feel like it's yours? Don't put yourself in another position to overgive and underreceive. I hope that was helpful for you guys today. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Like, comment, and share. Support me if you can. Yeah, that's all I got. Bye, guys.